Hey everyone, Sarah here, and with Set 5 of Champions TCG just around the corner, I wanted to kind of go over some of the cards in Set 5 that I am most excited for and getting to play. So I was going through the list and there's a handful of stuff that I didn't include on the list because the list was just getting kind of long, but here's what I got for you guys. So the first card to go over is going to be Gemini. Gemini is the only card in the game with the genetic split ability. And Gemini is this cool little guy. He's a 3-mana 5/5, so he's not huge. Like it's possible to answer him, right? Like a lot of cards will deal with him. He'll die to a combustion. He'll die to like a unit trading into him, or like Tsunami like deals with half of him. Like there are ways to easily get rid of this guy from play. He gets whirlwinded for free, for example, as well. But the thing about Gemini is if he does get to hit the enemy, if he gets to hit the player, he'll split. So he'll keep the Gemini and he'll evolve into one of his elemental forms based on the hero you're playing. So if you're playing a mono fire hero, he's gonna go into mono fire. If you're playing fire air, he's gonna go into either the fire or the air. And it'll be a 50-50 on which one he goes into. So I think Gemini is going to be a really cool card. I'm really curious to see how many decks he's going to make it into, if he's going to be played a lot, or if he's not. But I imagine this guy is going to be seeing some play. He does get answered very easily to Fungal Spores. He gets answered by Earthquake. So he has some things that do kind of hold him back a little bit. But I think he's a really powerful card that can kind of snowball and get really crazy. I think even in like water decks, where you can like blizzard their stuff, and maybe water decks, they already present a lot of things that want to evolve. So maybe he'll do well in there, where he also gets this blizzard ability. So I'm really curious to see what Gemini is going to do. I think this guy is a really cool card, and I'm excited to see this guy in the wild. Excuse me. So this card is probably one of the cards I really am excited for a lot. Actually, is Twiga. Twiga is the main star of the show here. I think Stiga and Trucker are both good. Like, if you do have a way to evolve into Stika, I don't know if people are going to be playing Stika, or if they're just going to evolve Twiga into Stika off of Bofa Tinker Time, something like that. Might be the way that you go into Stika. But Twiga himself just being 1 mana, and he's going to synergize really well with other cards we'll see later. So he's got the Harvest ability. I didn't even explain what Harvest does. Harvest is going to just randomly generate a Lily into your hand. And this set, there are 4 new Lilies entering the game. There's one that has Windseeker. There's one that has Provoke. There's one that has Inferno. And what's the last one have? The last one is Life Bloom. Those are the 4 Lilies. So we have, I think now there are 7 Lilies in the game. And all the Lilies are pretty powerful. They can all impact the board in pretty strong ways individually. But what really gets me excited about Twiga is... where is he? Twiga works really well with the Tempest cards. So what Tempest is going to do is Tempest will return everything you control back to your hand, and the Tempest unit will get +1/+2 stats. So it essentially, Tempest essentially lets you recycle a lot of cards. Most importantly, your Twigas and your Lilies that you're getting. So I think this is a neat little package, and this is probably the cards that I'm most excited to use. I really like these Tempest things, and getting additional value off of the cards that you can play over and over again. Like you can, on a board, right, you can go like Urgok their thing, and you Urgok it, and that's 6 of your mana spent, and then you can bounce it back to hand with Koof and rebuy that Urgok for a future turn. And it really lets you get a lot of additional value out of your cards while presenting a big threat from these Koofs. Or like just the Tempest cards in general. So Tempest and the Harvest cards, these cheap Harvest cards, is what I'm really excited for. I'm probably going to be looking to play that a good amount. And then Axe. So Axe is another card that works really well with Tempest. We just talked about how it's good with Urgok. You can essentially do this for 1 mana cheaper. It's a really powerful value play, but it is very tempo negative. Just only presenting like the 1 Koof in play. But yeah, I think Axe is just having a second copy of an Obliterate card, so now you can play Urgok and Axe. I don't know how much play it's going to see, because as a 6/2, it's really frail. Like, Urgok is huge. Axe is really weak, comparatively. But I think being 1 mana cheaper does have its merit. and it's still at the very worst a 1-for-1 that deals with whatever your opponent's playing, and the axe body gets left behind. That 6/2 body is gonna trade with something. It'll get like cursed by most things. It'll get tsunami'd. But I don't know. I think the axe is still pretty good. I think people are gonna be playing this one a good amount. At the very least in draft, right? He's a common, so you'll see this guy at the very least in draft quite a bit, and I think he'll make his way into constructed. So the Rascal. Rascal is also another one of these guys that works well with Tempest, just because he's just 1 mana. And he's a 1 mana Slay in Fire, so this is the first time we're seeing Slay in Fire. And there are a couple other Slay cards in Fire that came out in this set. There's a 3 mana one as well. I think it's a 3 mana 4/4. But Rascal I just wanted to talk about just because it's really cheap. I think it's really good. It's not like crazy, right? It's just going to 1-for-1 them and leave something behind. But I think it's good. I think it's really efficient. Oh, Rune Simi. I actually wanted to talk about the Rune Simi before. Okay. So Rune Simi, I don't know how good this is. It's very possible this card isn't good. But I just imagine a world where you, like, can recycle the Rune Simi. Like, say the Rune Simi survives a turn, right? Say you play a turn and you present, like, a big Koof. Say it's got, like, it bounced, like, 3 things or 4 things. So let's say it's got, like, 8 power or 9 power, right? And it's got a bunch of HP. Well, that 8 or 9 power is going to be able to trade over most things. And what you can do is you can Rune Simi your big Tempest guy, trade into their whole board, and then you can play another Tempest to bounce back the Tempest guy that just traded with a bunch of things and the Rune Simi. I don't know. It's like this might be like too much. Like I think too much might need to go right for this combo to work. But I think this is an interesting combo that exists. That's all I really have to say about it. I'm not fully sure this is going to make its way into any actual legitimate decks, but it was a cool idea. Okay, so the Gremla, this thing's got Devolve. So what Devolve is going to do is it's basically going to time warp something backwards. You can target your stuff, or you can target your opponent's stuff with it. So there's a lot of value in time warping things backwards. What I'm finding is you don't actually. I feel like it's inconsistent to rely on time warping or on devolving your opponent's stuff, because that means they have to be in a position where they're winning. So I don't think that's going to be the main use case of Devolve. I think it will be a use case, and one of the ways you will be able to use Devolve. But I think the real way you're going to use Devolve is when it's beneficial to devolve your own things. And we have a few cards that are good examples of that. So, Salazo and Sala. This is a really interesting package, right? Because you can go Salazo, hit him for 5, and then you can devolve it for 2 mana, and then you can hit him for 5 again with the Sala. Or you can play 2 mana, hit him for 5, and then you can play Bofa Tinkertime, and then hit him for 5 again with the evolve. So you have this like evolution string that it's 5 mana going forward and 5 mana going backward. And it's like a combo that you can consistently get these 10 damage these 10 damage bursts from. So I think this is how you're going to want to play with your devolve cards a lot of the time, where you're able to devolve something and kind of double dip on the effect. And I think Salazo is a really good example of that. And I have a few other examples. So this guy, Aqua, Aqueous, and Aquagus. I mean, this is a really good one, right? You can go at any stage, right? The combos work. Aquagus at 7 mana, along with Gremla, so that's a 9 mana combo, hits him for 16, 2-card combo. Aqueous plus Bofa Tinkertime hits him for 16, 8 mana combo. Aqueous with the Gremla hits him for 10, and it's a 7 mana combo. So you just have like, and then obviously Aqua with Bofa can go into a 10 damage combo too. So you have lots of ways here to double dip on this burst damage with these evolutions. And I think this is a really interesting and powerful evolution line here that we can see. And really taking advantage, I think, of what Gremlia can do. Another example, right, is you might want to like play Slava and Noms, right? And you can kind of like attack with the big rush and then evolve it backwards and then freeze something. That could be something that's useful too. So I just see... I see this being useful, you know? Alright, so let's see. Next one we have here that I got for us is Tufus and Tidorus. Tufus is excellent, right? 1 mana, 1/1 Tsunami. And then he evolves into Tidorus, which is actually also quite good. So Tidorus is a 3 mana 4/6 with the Rising Waters ability. What Rising Waters does is every time you play... Anytime a card enters play, the Tidorus will gain +1/+1. So it scales very quickly if they can't deal with it, because when you're playing things and when your opponent's playing things, and imagine if you're having turns where you're evolving multiple things and Tidorus is just triggering multiple times, it really becomes... these Rising Waters cards can get out of control if they're allowed to. And at 3 mana, it's so cheap. And also having a good evolution, right, coming off of the Tufus, just this 1 mana 1/1 Tsunami, a very cheap Tsunami that's playable on its own. We already play the Stubby, right? So this is just the cheaper Stubby. Yeah, this is a really strong evolution line. It's good if you naturally evolve into it, going turn 1 to turn 2, and the Tufus just survives a turn, which is very possible because, you know, it's hard to just deal with a 1/1, especially if there are other big threats in play that you might have to deal with. So yeah, I think Tufus Tidorus is a good evolution line here. I think this will be a really powerful evolution line. A lot of the cards I have noted here, I realize quite a bit of them are water cards. So I wonder if water is going to be getting significantly stronger here. I don't know if that's fully the case. And like, I don't even know if some of these combos are going to see play, like the Salas-Salazo play. I think it's cool, but I don't know if it's actually going to make its way into any decks. We'll have to see about that. And then I have 2 more evolutions for us to talk about. These ones I kind of, I don't think they might not be as good as some of the others, but I think they're still quite good. I think Frosticle is quite good. 3 mana 4/4, it's reasonable body, not excellent, right, but it's reasonable. With Icicle 5. Icicle 5 actually answers a lot of things. It answers Gemini. It'll answer Sticka. It won't really answer these guys, right? But, you know, it'll answer Axe. You know, it'll answer the Gremlia. It answers actually a lot of the things that we've talked about today. But it doesn't break into that 6 threshold, which also 6 HP units like Tidorus as well. Like even the Frostgrip. 6 HP is really common, right? So I wonder if the fact that it's only Icicle 5, if that's going to hold this back. I don't know. Icicle 5 is a lot of damage. If it's Icicle 6 and it had less stats, I would be more excited for it. But Icicle 5, I think it's still good, right? Because along with the Tsunami, with Icicle 5, you'll be able to break into that 6 threshold. So I think, going like an Icicle plus Tsunami turn like Tufus is very reasonable. So I think this is really good, right? Like you have the Icicle, you get to evolve it into the 6/6 Blizzard, which almost in a way being 6 HP is better than being 7 because you dodge Hydroblast. That's not always true. Obviously, people can just not be playing Hydroblast, and then obviously you just want the 7 HP. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. And then it has the final evolution, just going into the Rising Waters, which I don't think that's as exciting as the Frosticle and the Frostcrypt, right? I think those two are the main things you want to be doing here. Being able to go into the Toombies is very good, right? Being able to go into the huge 8/8 Rising Waters to top off, kind of like as a curve filler, or not curve filler. What's the word I'm thinking of? Just like your top end, right? Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Just Toombies being your top end, I think. Being able to go into it off of a Time Warp, you don't even have to play him in your deck. You can play him if you want, but I think the best way you're going to want to go into him is just by Time Warping into him, just when it makes sense. And then he's just this huge 8/8 threat that's going to get bigger, and they need to answer it very quickly. If it gets out of control, it's just going to take over the game. And then, so the final evolution I have for us here is the Brony, Floamy, and Charcoaly. This is another one of those evolution lines. Similar to the Frostcrypt, I actually forgot to mention with Frostcrypt, just how it still has that same Time Warp Devolve thing going on with it, right? So the Floamy doesn't really have that as consistently, right? Because Floamy is going to occasionally kill itself, and it'll come in injured. So you can't consistently get those evolutions off of Floamy the same way, but it still has a very good evolution line, right? Brony, just being a 2-mana 4/4 combustion, that's the cheapest combustion. Well, that's not the cheapest combustion because we have the 1-mana one as well, 1-mana 1/1, the Vroom. But this one is actually like a respectable stat line on turn 2. Being a 4/4, it can actually get a little bit done. And the Vroom can't evolve. Brony being able to go into Floamy is actually very high value, and Inferno 3 is quite powerful. And then if the Floamy is allowed to survive, being able to double dip on the devolving into a combustion, or evolving into Charcoaly, which has the Arson ability, which is a new ability for fire, which the unit will deal damage to an ally, and you'll draw a card. So this works as top end for fire, where it's actually able to draw cards, which that could actually be really good, especially in a position where like the fire deck is just looking to present a whole lot of damage and just burn people out, and then it's able to kind of cycle with the Arson to kind of get some more burn while presenting a big threat that needs to be answered. So I think this is a really strong evolution line. I think Bromy is the standout here of all the cards here. But these two, if you're able to like get into them, they can be strong value. And that's all I got for us here today. Quite a few cards here. I'm really excited to see a lot of these guys in play. I'm really excited to play with the Harvest and the Tempest cards. Like, that's what I'm most excited for. And yeah, let me know if you think I missed any cards that you're excited for in the new set. If I missed any combos. I'm sure I did. There's a lot here in the set. Hard to cover everything. I don't even know if all the cards I selected are really going to see a ton of play. I think they will, though, right? I think Rascal is pretty good. I think Axe is pretty good. But it's just like they might not see play everywhere. I'm really curious about the Salas-Salazo combo. And yeah, that's what I got for you all today. Thanks for coming by, and thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all soon.